Greetings and welcome to Cover Letter Secrets. Or I think it said on the flyer, Cover Letter Secrets Revealed. However, it must be a real secret because I don't see our clients using it very much. So what you're going to hear today is really what a cover letter is all about and how to approach it. So my name is Ann Mossop, and I'm an employment specialist at the Next Steps Employment Center, Downsview. And this is my email address, so you can connect with me at any time if you're a client at Downsview or if you're thinking about becoming a client. Please contact our front desk and become a client. When you register for a workshop, you're not registered with Next Step. So that's why I would encourage you to take the next step and to join us as a client and become an actual registered client, and not just tapping into the workshops, but all the wonderful things that we have to offer to you as a client. Today's webinar, it's important for us that you send your feedback because we do have to report to our funder, which is the Ontario government, and we need those statistics so we can confirm attendance by filling out your evaluation afterwards. And as I always say, we always aim for a 5 out of 5. And hopefully, please check your evaluation at the end. Today, the session is going to consist of identifying, there's usually 4 basic paragraphs in a cover letter. It can be 3 to 4, but it has very specific purpose, and it's really trying to convey your personality, whereas your resume is sort of a very sterile, factual document. You're trying to be a little bit more personable and convey yourself a little bit during this cover letter. You need to know how to address the letter. I see mistakes on that all the time. So we'll be talking about that. And you also have to understand that every single cover letter that you are sending needs to be targeted to the position that you're responding to. That's not only the resume that needs to be targeted, but your cover letter targeted to the organization as well. And that being said, that's why our research ahead of time is so important when we're looking into companies, because the reality of the situation is every company hires a little bit differently. What we're trying to tell you is generally, if you stick to these principles that I'm going to teach you today, you will not fail. Regardless of what you're targeting, but you need to know who you're targeting. Why are you interested in the job? What do you bring to the table? And they want to know, why are you interested in working for us? So this is why we need to do our research, even at this point in time. You need to change your strategy, because if you're sending stuff out and you're not hearing anything back, then something's wrong. The ultimate goal is to get an interview. And if it's falling into a black hole, then you really need to take a look at what you're sending out and what is the expectation in the market today. Okay. Good enough won't cut it in today's market. Excellence is what employers are looking for, especially being savvy about how to approach and making sure that your part of your strategy is to be current in how you're approaching. Create a first draft after you've heard what I've had to say during this workshop. Make the changes to your cover letter, and then set up a time and we can Zoom together and work on your cover letter together. Very simple. But you need to be a registered client of Next Steps, and you need to do some heavy lifting, okay? We're here to support and assist, but you need to learn how to do this as well. It's not just a question of, it would be nice if you would learn it. It's a life skill. You need to learn how to do this. So I've given you a little bit of an introduction and a warm-up and a rationale. The warm-up I'm going to have to skip because this is the recorded session. Just a logic. What is the logic behind a cover letter? There is an outline, a PDF that I can show you that outlines a cover letter. There's also a technique that we teach called the cover letter T-bar. When you're starting out, you want to make sure that you're starting with good habits and you're doing the right things, and then eventually uh, you can forego those training wheels and be able to make decisions about what needs to go in your resume, what needs to go in your cover letter. But you need to know this stuff. There are different formats. There's different ways of presenting it. There is one that I recommend, and I show you a sample today. We're just going to break each paragraph down, and I have a little acronym that we use, AIDA, a marketing acronym to describe what each paragraph is designed to accomplish, what we're trying to say. And then we'll wrap up, and the next steps would be to move forward and start acting on the information right away. So ordinarily we'd have group norms. I have nobody here. So the format or the look of your resume is very important. So at this point, I'm going to switch over to a Word document. So hold on. Here we go. I'll keep talking so that you know I'm still here. And this is really what a cover letter should look like. It can be 3 to 4 paragraphs, but I strongly recommend, there's a reason why I recommend 4 paragraphs. So up at the top here, your cover letter is a separate standalone front page. You do not send the cover letter as your email. The email is the conduit of sending your cover letter and your resume to an employer. I do not recommend that you copy and paste and put your cover letter into the email because they may have to share this with other people. And if you do that or print it off or whatever, they're not going to print out the email. They're just going to print out the resume. So make sure that your email is just, please find attached my cover letter and my resume for XYZ. So your email would pretty much have that information on it and reference the attachment. And, you can send it as 2 separate documents if you're sending it through email. If you're applying online and there's only one space to respond to a posting, what I would recommend that you do is your cover letter would go first and then your resume would be attached after the cover letter. But there are no hard and fast rules. Every employer prefers to receive it differently. So there's a reason to call even just their front desk person and say, what is your preference for receiving it? Is there somebody I can address it to? And so on. If they say no, they say no. If they say yes, then you have a piece of information that somebody else doesn't have. If you're applying to, say, the Royal Bank, we'll talk about that. Sometimes we won't always know the address, but you're going to use a cover letter is a standalone page. It's a first page. The first page on your resume is a first page. Your second page of your resume isn't a front page, so we don't put logo on every single page. Your name and contact information, email and telephone, would be left justified on the second page of your resume. But your cover letter it's conveying your personality, it's introducing your resume, and it's making the link between you and your resume and why you're a good fit. So it has a much different tone than your resume. We start at the top with using the correct date. Whatever date you're sending it is the date that you would put on there. If you don't know the person's name, if you don't have a name, then I always recommend the first 2 people that are going to see your resume in any organization are going to be the HR recruiter, whoever is designated as the HR recruiter, and it won't be the HR manager. Managers don't do that. It will be an HR recruiter, And the second person that's going to look at it is the hiring manager of the area that you are applying to in most cases. So that's why these are the first two people whose eyes are going to be on this document and your resume when a pair of human eyes do see it. So address it, attention, HR recruiter / hiring manager. If you don't know, if you know the company, then you can look up the company and put the address if it's a one address location. If it's something like the Royal Bank of Canada, then you would put head office in Toronto is still on Front and Bay Street. So you would put that location. It will go to whoever it's supposed to go to, but it's at least acknowledging that you looked up Royal Bank of Canada and the head office address. In the line, just underneath your employer's address, you will have is regarding or in reference to. You will have the job title and a job number if there is one. It won't be in brackets. It's just that's what you would put there so they can see right away what you're targeting. And when we get into the salutations for the body of the letter, it's dear, and again, we referenced up here HR recruiter or hiring manager, then we would say HR recruiter / hiring manager. If you have a name like Ian Smith, you would not say dear Ian, it's too upfront. You would say dear Mr. Smith, because you're approaching. If you have a name, you don't want to be too familiar, and so on. So you have to be mindful. If the person's name is Chris Smith, Chris can be a man or a woman. So you call and say, I'm sending a letter to Chris Smith, and I was wondering, is Chris a male or female, or I wanted to make sure I was addressing it properly. There's all kinds of ways around not knowing information. And no, nobody's going to shoot you because you pick up the phone and you call. There's going to be no consequence. They're not looking at your number, and there's no reason to be suspicious. You can just call and ask, say, I'm applying for a position. Is there someone I can address it to? Is there a preference for how you receive it? But usually the posting is pretty clear on how they want to receive it. Your opening paragraph is not going to be, please find attached a copy of my resume, blah, 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 blah. This is boring. You want to get their attention. We want to get their attention right from the start. So if we come up with an opening that is a real attention grabber, it only needs to be 1 to 3 sentences at most. And if you referenced, if you called or spoke to someone in a previous conversation, you could mention that. But again, the purpose of the cover letter in that first paragraph, we're introducing our resume and our interest in the position. We're stating why we're writing. We're stating where we saw it posted because they want that information. Now, in most cases, if you see something on Indeed or a job board, I usually recommend you go directly to the company website and apply through the company website. If you're applying through Indeed and then it goes to the company, at least if you're applying through the company, they know that you're interested because you applied to them directly. So there's a rationale for applying to the company's website instead of a job board like Indeed. An example might be your advertisement we'll say Indeed for now because I can't think of a company. Your advertisement on Indeed has captured my interest and attention, and I'm pleased to respond as an ideal candidate. My background, experience, and skill sets can offer an excellent fit with this position, and my resume is attached with this communication for your consideration. Boom, short, sweet, why you're contacting, where you saw it, and it's interesting. It's a lot more interesting than please find attached. So something that's going to grab their attention. In the second paragraph, we're trying to create interest. So what do you have to offer? Why should they hire you? It's only maximum maybe 3 to 4 sentences. And then there is a bulleted piece that you can also attach that I consider part of the second paragraph, which I'll show you a sample. Talk about an accomplishment, something that's relevant to what they're looking for. And the bulleted points, you can have a written piece for the second paragraph, a little bit, and then introduce your bulleted points as additional background and experience that you bring. The third paragraph, you want to make them curious. You want to make them want to find out more about you. Try to look up the company and really try to figure out, why do you want to work for this company? Companies want to feel that there's some relevant reason why you chose our organization. You've used our product. It has a great reputation. You've always wondered about working at XYZ. Something, anything, try to match your skills and your experience to their product or their service and what they do. Nothing makes people feel a connection with you more than if you say, hey, I want to work for your organization. That person's already working for that organization. So you're going to make them curious to meet you because they're there already. You want to work there. And it's not placating, and it's not phony, and it's not insincere. It's something from the heart that you really like about the organization and why you want to join it, their organization. And the closing paragraph is really also called your call to action. You're writing your letter, you're sending your resume for a reason. The reason is to get an interview. So your call to action to the person who's reading it is to call you for an interview. So it might go something like this. The opportunity to meet and speak further regarding your requirements and my qualifications would be most welcome. Please call me for an interview, and thank you for reviewing my resume. Boom, that's it, that's all. You're asking for the interview. We usually sign off with sincerely. And if you don't have your signature, you just type your name there. You don't need to leave a space for your signature. So just remember that. It looks kind of dumb if you're just typing your name in and you got a big space there and no signature. This is an example. This would be a pretty good example of Marjorie Black. She's presenting her information in a certain way. I think she's okay with the line up under her contact information. But it's very simple. She has her second paragraph. She's introducing some of the qualifications that were relevant from the posting that, really aren't necessarily clear for putting on your resume. You want it to get noticed. And when the recruiter's looking at your cover letter, they go right to that middle section because it's eye-catching, it's bulleted, it's short and sweet. They'll read that. And if it's relevant, they'll go on and look at the resume and so on. We don't really know. Some people value the cover letter more. Some people value the resume more. Some people look at both of them. Some recruiters, if it's a tie, they'll look at the cover letter. So cover letters are important. They convey more of your personality and your approach to your work, as opposed to a resume, which is a pretty sterile kind of document. It's not really personal. It is, but it isn't. Its tone isn't necessarily personal, okay? So back to sharing. So you're using your Me Inc. letterhead. It's the same as the first page on your resume. It's your Me Inc. letterhead because you are a company of one. When you're sending your cover letter, make sure you have the correct date. Make sure that you investigate as much as possible to find out an employer contact. And if you can't, then you can't put an address, but you can say attention HR recruiter and / hiring manager. Always reference the job title and a job number. There's not a job number on everything, so use your common sense that there's not a job number, there's not a job number. It's usually that 4 paragraphs that I've talked about, and your sign off is just your name typed in. It's not really necessary. It's not really necessary to leave a space because you're not going to be signing it. We've already taken a look at the cover letter PDF and the cover letter, the T-bar. I'll show you now. And actually, the T-bar is a reoccurring theme throughout a job search. There's different times we have to sort things and we have to make decisions. Even after our interview, this T-bar can come in handy. What did I do well and what do I need to improve? If we don't reflect, then we don't know what we have to, what has to change. So when we take a look at the posting, on the left-hand side, what are all the requirements that they're looking for? List them out. And on the other side, what do you have in response to it? Don't just say organization, organization. No, it has to be an example. Maybe you can combine an example of organization planning and event planning all in one. So if you haven't attended the How to Convey Your Accomplishments recorded workshop, please do. And the other one that you need to watch is Which Resume Style Fits Best. These will help you with putting together a cover letter as well. And how to convey accomplishments is very, very important. So it's like sifting flour. We put the flour in the sifter and we shake it and we sift it through so that when it comes through, there's no lumps and we have a good idea of what I need to start baking with. I've done some sorting, so then I can take a look under my qualifications. What do I need to include in my cover letter and my resume? And don't make your cover letter just a repeat of your resume. That really makes recruiters very upset. The resume, if you've said it once, try to pick something else or give an example of something different, but try and show that interest in why you want to work for that company and what you bring to the table that they're going to need. So let's switch back. Here we go. Back into, oh, my mouse is acting up. Yeah, my mouse is acting up. It's been doing that to me today. There. So there are variations. I showed you, it's basically the 4 paragraphs. Part of the second paragraph is the bulleted points. We also use an acronym from marketing. I love this acronym. It's AIDA. And whenever marketing companies are sending out a solicitation, it usually has 4 paragraphs. I know that when I was working for the bank, I always followed this principle too. The first opening paragraph, you want to attract attention. That's why we don't want to say, please find attached a copy of my resume, because that's what everybody else says. You want to say something that's going to distract them, something that's going to throw them, something that's different from what everybody else is saying. You just don't want to do something shocking, but change what you say, change your introduction. The second paragraph, you're creating interest. You're talking about you relevant to the position. What do you bring to the table? The third paragraph, you're creating the desire for them to want to get in touch with you. And the fourth thing that you want them to do is you want them to contact you. You want them to take action. So let's look at AIDA. Okay, so your first paragraph. I took this picture in New York, and there are loudspeakers blaring that it's the red zone. It's painted red, and this is what the sign says. So do you think anybody parks in the red zone in front of Rockefeller Center across from St. Patrick's Cathedral? No, because it says don't even think of parking here, and it's blaring and it's red. So do you think that is attention grabbing? Sure. Well, we sort of have to create a different way to approach, because when recruiters get and they hear the same thing over and over and over and over again, if somebody says something different, it catches their attention. So we want to convey that we're a good fit, that we're an ideal candidate. Why we're writing, you always start a business letter with, why are you writing the letter? Well, I'm writing the letter because I saw an advertisement on Indeed and I'm a good fit and I have the skills and I want to send my resume. Great. If we start off a little bit different, we've got their attention. The second paragraph, what do you have to offer? What features do you have as a product, as a person, as an employee? And what are the benefits that you create? I don't want to just hear a list of skills. That tells me absolutely nothing. So you need to give me an example that maybe demonstrates several skills together, but don't forget to leave off the benefits. And we always say the employer's perspective at this point is always WIFM. WIFM stands for what's in it for me. This is how an employer is thinking. So we need to present ourselves in a way that's going to get their attention by talking about things that we've done maybe somewhere else that we can bring and do for this new employer. What do you have to offer relevant to the position? Your requirements and your qualifications, are they relevant to the posting? And this is why we would go through the cover letter T-bar, so that we can extract the right information, not just parrot it back to the employer, but to give examples and to embellish, and by giving samples and examples of things that we've done in the past. The third paragraph, we want to create motivation. We want to create the desire. We want them to want to meet us, and our goal is to meet them. So it can be a continuation of the second paragraph, or state why you want to work for this organization. They want to know that you identify with their product, you identify with their service, you identify with their tribe, with their organization. And I say tribe in the sense of culture. People tend to think of the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have them do, as you would have them do unto you, or as you would do unto yourself, sorry. And that's a great sentiment. The only problem is everybody doesn't want to be treated the same. And employers don't want to be treated all the same either. So the platinum rule is do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Approach an employer the way they want to be approached. Don't send everything as a PDF. Don't send your cover letter in the body of the email. There are certain things that you need to be aware of, and you need to follow what the employer is looking for, because in a sense, every employer has their own little quirks, their own little preferences, and you have to find out what they are. There's no hard and fast rule that anybody can give you, but if you design and improve the quality of your work, definitely you will see a change in the responses from employers. The fourth paragraph is short and sweet. You just do it. You're one step closer to a yes if you hear another no, but the closing is just, the last paragraph can be as simple as, the opportunity to meet and speak further is most welcome. Please contact me for, I feel that I'm an ideal fit with this position. I can match your requirements, or we can discuss my qualifications further. Thank you for reviewing my resume. Please call me for an interview. You are direct. This is the whole point of that last 2 or 3 sentences, is to ask for an interview. The call to action. You went through this, you want them to do something, you want them to call you. And the ultimate goal is getting an interview. So if we get an interview, we've been successful. And we need to realize that that is a success. It's not only AIDA and keeping that in mind for each paragraph in our cover letter, but you need to work to a quality standard. So you could follow the 4 paragraphs, but unless you check in with either myself or another employment specialist or with an employment advisor, we can't verify the quality. So the best person to follow up with at Downsview would be myself, and my contact information will be at the end again. So employers are seeking a good fit, and that means your skills and personality. Are you going to fit with the tribe? We communicate through examples. We use PAR, problem plus action equals result. There's also CAR and STAR, and there's all kinds of different variations. I'm just mentioning PAR. I would strongly recommend, if you're listening to this workshop and you haven't watched How to Convey Accomplishments, it's a recorded session that you can listen to, and I talk all about PAR and CAR and formulating accomplishment statements on your resume, cover letter, and definitely for your interviews. And lastly, we all listen to the same radio station. It's a joke, WIIFM. The joke means it's got FM at the end of it, but it's what's in it for me. That's how we all look at things. But during this process, you need to be more concerned and more focused on meeting employer needs. Your own needs are important too, but you can set up a lot of barriers to getting a job by making it too difficult for anyone to be willing to hire you. So nobody's that elite or that exclusive. And remember, we need to talk about our features, but we also need to talk about benefits. This car has leather seats. So what? It's July, it's hot. The benefit is when you get into this car in January, you're going to have a nice, warm, toasty seat. The feature on its own, warm, heated seats, it doesn't mean anything. But if you tie the benefit back to the person, then they can follow your train of thought and they get it. So for your salutations, know to whom it may concern. It won't concern anybody. We haven't used that phrase in years. And if you're writing to your landlord or somebody and you don't know who's there, yeah, sure, it's great. Not when you're approaching a company and asking for a job. It pretty much says you don't care. No, dear sir or madam. We haven't talked like that in 30 years. It's outdated. Whether it's a large or small company, there's going to be someone designated as the HR recruiter, and there's going to be someone that's the hiring manager in that case. So using this phrase, you're pretty secure in saying, dear HR recruiter, hiring manager. I've mentioned that, and I've got a PDF that I can send to you if you want to communicate with me after watching this recorded session, and I will help you with, I will send it out to you if you just get in touch with me. The reline, just make sure that it's somewhere where they can see it underneath the employer address above the dear line. Sincerely, just sincerely, and type your name directly under. You don't need to leave a space if you're not signing it. This isn't really relevant. We're back to the end, and I just wanted to say, I think we accomplished our objectives. We've identified the 4 paragraphs and the content to feature in each paragraph in a cover letter. We talked about AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action. We talked about the most appropriate salutation, how to address the letter, including employer name and address. If we don't have a name and address, dear recruiter, dear HR recruiter / hiring manager, understand that it takes a lot of motivation and effort to create a powerful cover letter each time you send one. And it has to be targeted along with your resume. And that's why the cover letter T-bar is not only good for your cover letter, it's excellent for targeting your resume as well. Change your strategy. Monitor your success, make changes appropriately. And if you're not hearing anything back, step back, make changes, roll out again. You have to keep doing that. Once you've created a great first draft for review and you're happy with it, get in touch with me and we can set up a Zoom time and we can take a look at it together. Your call to action is read through your notes from today. If you've taken notes, you should be taking notes. Use all the resources available to you. Continue to attend the webinars and on each job search topic. Believe me, things are constantly changing. You have to be aware of how to present yourself. Access all the services and programs that are available to you. We give updates on different things. I'm always talking about free things too. Be accountable and accept the challenge. Start preparing a targeted cover letter today. Start preparing yourself for networking and interviews and stay in touch with us. We can't help if you sign up and then you walk away. There's not much we can do to help. So reach out to your employment advisor. Reach out to me. I'm your employment specialist at Downsview. If you have a job developer, reach out to a job developer. But if you're an engineer or higher level, you have to do this and approach a company on your own. So if you're not registered, please become a registered client. There's lots of good things that you can take advantage of. Me, for one, I can meet with clients only. I can't meet with people who attend the webinars and are not actually clients. So we have to draw the line somewhere. There's a motivation right there to become a client. Also, I wanted to mention, if you are on employment insurance, anything that you attend, a webinar, a recorded session, working on your resume, working on me with Zoom, all of these count as job search. So employment insurance counts anytime you interact with us as job search. So there's a good motivation right there to do something almost on a daily basis and attend the webinars and get a good picture of exactly what you need to change and how you need to present yourself. What action do you need to take? What do you need to start doing? You need to make some changes in your cover letter. Do it today. You're going to forget. Stop procrastinating. Stop delaying. Get started. All these pieces. If you just have good enough, it's not going to be good enough. It has to be excellent. So stop what you're doing. Start from scratch. Improve your product. Get back to me, and we'll go from there. You must be doing some good things. What are you doing that you need to continue to do? And just, just write down these things on a piece of paper. Attending this and listening to it means absolutely nothing if you don't implement the information. That's what's important. So please implement. If you have any questions that you want to ask, please don't hesitate to follow up. On behalf of all of our 7 centers, thank you for joining me. Dankeschön, thank you, gracias, obrigado, merci. Thank you. We appreciate you joining us and tuning in. Thank you, and I'll see you at your next one-on-one coaching session, but you do need to get in touch with me, and you do need to do your heavy lifting. You need to make changes to your cover letter. After listening to this webinar, I do need you to fill in your evaluation, and I love this quote. Are you adaptable to change? You need to make change. Again, this is Ann Mossop, Employment Specialist at the Next Steps Employment Center, Downsview. Thank you for listening today. Please reply to me if you need any assistance or if you want any of today's materials at ann.mossop@tdsb.on.ca. You can also visit us on our website, next-steps.on.ca. And I'm not sure if this link is open for me, but I don't know. I don't think it's an active link for you. So Sen would have probably sent you the link from our head office. Please go in and evaluate, or we won't get to continue to be here for you. Thank you. Send an evaluation. Bye for now.